Imagine spending all your hard-earned money on a Switch 2 and then you want to get a game. You go to the store, you pick up the game, you open it, nothing inside. But it was intentional because they're not giving you a cartridge. Frankly, this process is becoming frustrating even for me as I move from pre-ordering the console to looking to pre-order games. We have some new strange situations where games are not even respecting the game keycard model. And honestly, it's just such a bummer, and I want to know what you think about it. So good morning, Mario, and good morning, Switch fans. There are some bright spots I will point out, games I think we should absolutely support and get behind, and a new one that blew me away. So what's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. Let's talk all about Switch 2 games. If you're still out there hunting a Switch 2 pre-order, I've seen restocks pop up today at GameStop online. Supposedly, they've been spreading their stock at stores, so you might want to make a phone call. I'll let you know if anybody else restocks. In the meantime, let's talk about game keycards, this strange new non-game keycard empty box situation, and the games that I think deserve your support. If you're not familiar, game keycards are basically, hey, we didn't put the game on the cartridge, but we're giving you a cartridge, so when you open the box, you have something. Now, the cool part here is that a game keycard is not tied to the account. So it has some resale value, it has trade value, it has give it to your friend value. A code in a box doesn't have that value because once it's used once, poof, it's gone. So we know that Switch 2 game cards are more expensive because they can house more memory, and so a lot of game publishers don't want to pay for that. They want to do the game keycard thing, which was Nintendo's idea to still give you a physical cartridge, but not actually the game on there. All right, that's not the greatest situation, but at least it's something. And I thought everybody would either do that, or the ones that wanted to be cool would put their full game on the cart, like Cyberpunk 2077. And if Cyberpunk 2077 is on the full game card, why can't the rest of them be? In fact, almost none of them are. If we look at the list of physical games available day one on Nintendo Switch 2, it's like none of them. In fact, it's only 4 third-party physical games that actually have the physical game on the cart, and that is Cyberpunk 2077, Daemon X Machina, Titan Scion, Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma, and No Sleep for Konami Date from AI The Somnium Files IBA Edition. All right, those are the only ones. But today we have a new entry that is mucking things up and I think making it just stupid. The game keycards is already like kind of a dicey proposition because some people really do love having their physical game on the physical cart. But today we have Split Fiction coming in and throwing a wrench in the entire process, disrespecting the game keycard and just putting a download code in there. Now, this does seem like the masterwork of EA, the publisher that many years has won Worst Publisher Award, and guess what? Split Fiction is brought to you by EA, and despite Split Fiction being super successful and a super great game, they're opting to throw that game into a code. Can't even be bothered to get you a game keycard. And frankly, I think that's just stupid. Why are we selling a physical game that has a code when we have this new option from Nintendo? Like, in the perfect world scenario, every physical game is on the physical cart. And if you don't care about physical games, then whatever, you get the digital version. But if you do care about physical games and you're going to go out of your way to buy a physical game, give me the dang physical game. Or at least use Nintendo's newfangled futuristic solution, which is the game keycard that gives you some control and some value over your game. Knowing that EA is out there throwing Split Fiction into a code makes me worried. And we just saw the cover for Madden 26 come out for Nintendo Switch 2, and it's also a game keycard. But because Split Fiction is doing this, that tells me that as the year progresses, there will be more and more games that also do the download code thing. And I think Nintendo should have just made it obligatory that you either put the game on the cart or you put a game keycard. Like, there's no option to just have a blank empty case. That's so dumb. And I know it still serves the purpose of, oh, it fills your shelf, but it's really goofy, it's really cutting corners, and it's really just kicking the consumer, the physical consumer, when they're already down. Like me, I'm fine getting my digital games, but I know that this matters a lot to people, and I don't think it's right that they're completely eliminating that option, even going around Nintendo's solution and doing their own thing. And this is definitely ruffling a lot of feathers online. Gamers are not happy with this, and some prominent tweeters like Stealth say, is it controversial to say I have a bigger issue with game keycards as a dominant form of physical game delivery on Switch 2 than I do with $80 games in general? Now, that's a really dangerous take because $80 games obviously threw the world of gaming into a tizzy, but I kind of see his point. Like, games were always going to go up in price. We don't have to go to game keycards, let alone game codes. At least keycards is trying to do something, but realistically, they've already worked their magic, right? Nintendo's already convinced us that game key cards is a thumbs up and game codes is a thumbs down. Really, it's kind of like this. Throw the game on the cartridge. What do we look like? Are we really going to nickel and dime? And I know that the 64 gig cart for Switch 2 is supposedly $16. That's a lot and it eats into your profit margin. But figure something out. I don't know, do a deal with Nintendo. Buy a bunch of them. Find some way to make this work, or can we just manufacture the cartridges more frequently so that they come down in price? Like if more people were required to buy them, it's tough. Because if you require them to buy them, maybe third parties skip out. But what they really... The Switch 2 is going to push 6 to 8 million units at launch. It's going to be historically the greatest console launch of all time, the biggest by far, triple the Switch 1. And you're telling me you couldn't mandate cartridges and get third parties on board? I don't know. I think it still could have worked. Maybe some games wouldn't have been able to, but I think a lot of games would have paid for it. Not EA though. Not EA. They're going to do the game key code thing. They're going to put a little slip of paper in there because that's all they think you deserve. The Nintendo first party games are going to be physically there, so hey, you know that's a good thing. I definitely don't recommend going out of your way to buy Mario Kart World physical. I know some people have an addiction and just can't help themselves, but if you can get the bundle, that game is only $50. If you can't get the bundle, well then you might as well get it physical instead of digital, $80. Donkey Kong Bonanza is going to be on cart when it launches in July for $70. Other than that though, it's like it is a hard world to get a game on a cartridge. And that's why I think Cyberpunk 2077 deserves our championing. If you're going to pick up any third-party game, Elden Ring seems really cool given the Tarnished Edition. It's a game key card, right? We have so many of these titles that are pretty sweet. Street Fighter 6, it's a game key card. Could we get a game that's just there? And that's Cyberpunk 2077. It seems like they've done great work. They packaged in Phantom Liberty. They're not charging $80. I think that's the physical game to support and champion at launch if this means something to you. If not, get whatever game you want. But if you're somebody that believes in physical games, or you're somebody that wants to support others who want to continue their physical game collection, Cyberpunk 2077 is the game to get. It seems like it is being lovingly crafted. They put a ton of work into it. It looks really nice. It runs really well. It's got the content it needs. They're not charging a Switch tax, and it's on the cartridge. The other one I want to bring up has nothing to do with cartridges, but it's a game that I think deserves absolute support, and that is Fast Fusion. Fast RMX was one of the stealthily greatest games on Switch in its early life cycle. It came out on launch, and it was cheap. It was a digital-only game, and it was cheap. And now Fast Fusion is replicating that once again by being a $15 game and the sequel to Fast RMX that came out 8 years ago. Okay, this is incredible. In an era where Nintendo is upping to 80, everybody else is going to 70, there's a $15 launch Switch game that basically is a modern iteration of Wipeout and the sequel to Fast RMX. The game looks fantastic, the graphics look really nifty, and their gameplay is so butterly smooth. I know it's difficult because they're releasing alongside Mario Kart World, and it's a complete battle for the racer crown that we know Mario is going to win. But Fast Fusion is very different. It plays very differently. It's a different type of racer, and while it's in the same genre, it's very much a different game. So I think that one deserves your support for being cheap, for not putting any price increase, for charging the same that they did 8 years ago, even though inevitably this game costs more to make, took more time, higher resolution assets, more investment, more cost, same price. That is something worth clapping over. So Cyberpunk 2077 gets a big thumbs up in my book. Fast Fusion gets a big thumbs up in my book. If you want to give a thumbs up to Daemon X Machina, Rune Factory, and No Sleep for Konami Date, those also are your physical games on physical cards. The one I would not support, sadly, and I hate to say this because I like the game a lot, and I was glad it was coming to Switch Day 1, is Split Fiction. It's absolutely BS to put a game code into a box for Switch 2 in 2025. It's nonsense. It saves them money. It does nothing for us. That right there is a greedy move. And nobody wants a game code. Nobody liked it with Switch 1. The freaking cloud games, the game key codes, a lot of that was viewed as BS back then, but most games were on Switch 1 cartridges, and now it's flipped. Most games are not on Switch 2 cartridges. Most games are game key cards, and a few are game codes. This is a very complicated situation. Like, look, I understand manufacturing, importing cartridges, trying to get your game there. Game companies are struggling, at least some of them. But still, like, we should have standards to maintain. And if you're going to do physical at all, at least do physical right? Like, if you want to be a digital collector, that's fine. But clearly Nintendo is now nudging and pushing and forcing. And things like Split Fiction on a game code, just make that all the more apparent. The fact that Nintendo's even allowing it, not my favorite thing. Require the game keycard. You made the solution. It's a okay option. It's a in between physical and digital. It's at least giving you something to hold on to. But to let them do us dirty with game codes, especially right at launch, doesn't bode well. Let me know your take in the comments down below. Would you buy ever a game with a game code? Or would you buy a game with a game key card? Or would you never buy any of those? Like, does it turn you off of Elden Ring Tarnished Edition knowing you don't actually have the game there? Whereas Cyberpunk 2077, you do. Let me know your take. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. Love you lots. SwitchForce out.